Welcome to World Shakers. I'm Tim Storey with my good friend, Tracy O'Malley. Hey, Tracy.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
Doing good. So here's what we call you, Master Recovery Coach. And you are a recovery coach, and you are really becoming a master at it, not just by knowing the subject, but by going through things in life.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I'm loving about you right now in this space. You are telling your story. When did you start really telling your story with such honesty? How long has that been?
About 7 years ago, with complete, total, vulnerable, authentic honesty 7 years ago. When I was 9, I knew that there was a story, though, for sure.
Yes. So the whole idea of World Shakers, I've been saying this term for over 20 years, is somebody who makes impact that really has a domino effect. And so you've been a world shaker in business, and you still are. And it's interesting that that side of you has made a lot of impact and a domino effect. But isn't it interesting that your weaknesses and your pain, and now coming out of the pain and the weaknesses, is having probably even a bigger effect on people?
Well, honestly, I don't believe the success and keeping the success would have been possible without this work, without the truth, because otherwise you're just kicking the can down the street, white knuckling things and hoping like you're not found out, you know? I think so many out there today are living with this imposter syndrome or whatever the heck they're calling it today. And they're hiding the very thing that can set them free emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially, quite honestly.
This is an interview that's easy for me because we are really great friends, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so because I know your story, I want to just say this, is that, you know, to get to the heights that you have as a single mother financially, to really just do well, okay? And then be vulnerable enough now to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to be this honest? Because you're being very honest in all your interviews right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I knew that the way that I was doing it before wasn't working. And quite honestly, it's not sustainable not being in your truth.
Mm-hmm.
You can wear masks and paint the picture that you want the world to see. And even if the world loves you, if you're not sitting in your own truth every day, it's a miserable existence. And it's even more lonely than when you're being a little rascal out there like I was a little bit. And so I knew my best thinking had gotten me in that position. And when you want something different, sometimes it requires a completely different version of you. So I decided to wipe out the hard drive of everything I'd ever known, everything I'd ever been taught,
Wow.
and told and modeled. And it's like, well, let's just do this a different way and see what happens. I have nothing to lose at this point because I had pretty much lost everything.
Okay, so your road to success, the lane is in what kind of business? Can you tell us?
Today, it's coaching. I've had success in network marketing, and I also had success, but destroyed all of it in the car industry as well.
Yeah, which is interesting about the beginning and then where you are now, because I find it interesting because, as you know, I say some things you decide, some things you discover. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of your life is like the discovery zone. Things just started happening. Tell us a little bit how you got involved with selling cars.
So the discovery zone is a constant state of my life. You're absolutely right. And how I ended up in cars was not because I wanted to. I always wanted to be either a trauma surgeon or a paramedic. I wanted to do those things. And, you know, God gifted me with 2 Irish twins, with a set of Irish twins and back-to-back babies. So that didn't happen. But I was married at the time, and the recession, or actually 9/11 happened, and the IT world that he was in kind of got disheveled a little bit. So instead of being unemployed, we decided to start a car transport company. And so we did that for 10 years together, even after we got divorced, which I don't recommend.
Yeah.
But then when the recession came, I decided to shut the doors on that and went into the corporate end of the car business, selling cars, a high-level executive at an auction out here.
Yes.
Which, when I walked in the door, that was 2010. I remember walking in the door the first day and feeling like I just left my soul at the door, because I knew I needed to be something that they wanted me to be in order to be successful. And I was extremely good at what I did, but that came at a cost.
Okay. So what does it feel like to be at the top of something, the top of the ladder, but it's not the ladder that you wish you were at the top of? Because it's very common with people.
It's exactly what I said. It's a miserable existence. My ego really liked it. You know, I was a single mom at that point too. And like you said earlier, I had 2 kids to feed, 2 kids looking at me like, how are we going to do this? And so I kind of settled. You know, you talk about that a lot too. I settled into that and just accepted at the time that that was just the way it was going to be. And so I got to the point where it was like, if I can't beat them, join them. And that really led to the downward spiral pretty rapidly, thank goodness.
Okay, so I interview a lot of people, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and because you know how to go deep,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go deep with you.
Good.
What does it mean to chase the shiny object? I think that a lot of people in life, they're doing well, could even be in a good relationship,
Mm-hmm.
the shiny object. They're doing well. Somebody offers them what they think is something better, the shiny object. What does it mean to chase the shiny object, and why should we really be a little bit careful about sometimes chasing the shiny object?
Well, I think the chasing of the shiny object is anytime you are seeking something outside of you for validation, for worth, for acceptance, for love. And I believe that's ingrained in us early on by what we're taught, told, or modeled. And, you know, even if you're having success, you're not satisfied. It's like, if I do this, then I will feel or have that. And I see it with multi-millionaire billionaires all the time. It's like, it's never enough. And what they don't realize is that shiny object is living right inside their chest with all the answers. It's the best shiny object you can chase is your own heart, honestly.
Okay, that is the best answer on the shiny object I've ever heard.
Aww.
Because it's inside you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're already blessed, and you have been bestowed with blessings, what the Bible says. So you've been gifted with blessings. So many times it sounds like what you're saying is we're chasing something in the exterior when it was really here all along.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, life can happen, experiences can happen, things are said to us that start to skew that belief. And that starts early on. And so then once we believe something different than that, we start seeking it outside of ourselves, which is why, you know, addiction is a lot more than drugs and alcohol. It's this validation, it's acceptance, it's all those things that are the shiny objects, to be honest with you. And I swear, like, even at my lowest of low, coming out and unemployed and in rehab, the shiny object was shining so bright inside of me that that's all I needed, that and God, and I was good. I really was, and I knew the rest would fall into place.
Okay, so we start with momentum, many people do, mostly in their childhood, and then we can have these setbacks, and sometimes we sit, settle, and cement ourselves in a setback. What does it feel like to feel cemented in a setback for you?
I can imagine if you were in an explosion and you were stuck under rubble and trying to claw your way out, and nobody can hear you, nobody can see you, and you can barely hold or catch your own breath. It's paralyzing.
Wow.
And it's hard to see a way out, but it's always the case. You can always see a little glimmer of light. And as long as you don't lose focus of that, eventually you're going to get out.
Yes.
You just got to hang in there long enough with just a little bit, the faith of a mustard seed, that you're going to get out of it.
How important are partners in that attempt to get out of where you are? How important are partners in that?
Well, you have to take an inventory when you're kind of in that position. And the inventory I needed to take was the people I had surrounded myself with. Although very good people, they weren't where I was headed. And, you know, your environment is so much stronger than your willpower. So I had to make a very hard decision to completely wipe out my network. And that meant, people I loved very, very much. Some of it was family along the way in order to have the correct playground or environment to breed what I knew God's calling was on my life. And it wasn't going to happen at the bottom of the rubble. It wasn't.
Yeah. One of the things I know because of our friendship is that you have been able to rise above the tags and the labels. Like, I know the story of your father wanting a son, and out comes a beautiful daughter, but he wanted a son. And so it's almost like you were labeled and tagged early. And how have you been able to rise above the labels or tags that were put on you that were negative tags? And the tags could be things like divorcee, single mother, addiction. How have you been able to rise above the tags?
Embracing my own truth and not looking at it as a negative. Like the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Ordered, already done, already picked out, already set. And once I understood that, I knew every piece of that puzzle mattered. And so I wouldn't wear the tag anymore as a bad thing. It's that story about my dad wanting a son. Yes, it changed everything and caused me to believe things that weren't true and then seek out those beliefs. However, all those little chains of events had to happen for Tracy to be who she is today.
Wow.
And so, I want to bring a new face to what addiction, the other side of it looks like, what a single mom who is a great mom and also a powerhouse that changes the world looks like. I want for somebody to stand in their truth, messy hair or like this, and to say, this is who I am. And it's beautiful, even in the mess. And,
I love that.
Really embracing that has brought so much joy and fulfillment, and obviously the success and money comes too, which is amazing, but it's the impact of one conversation with somebody. It's that, my son said to me, discipleship cannot be mass produced. And when he said that to me, I got all choked up because I never discount one conversation with my one story.
Yeah.
And what that can do for not just that person or their business or people, but generations that follow them as well. And I'm living proof that that's possible. When you embrace that truth that's part of you, all of it matters. Every part of it matters.
I'm talking to Tracy O'Malley. You're watching World Shakers. Tracy, what is kind of the main message that you feel like life has put on your heart for the next 12 months? I know you're traveling, you're speaking, podcasts, books. What is kind of the main message?
Oh, there's so much. I think we live in a world today that everything is about this, and what the outside looks like. And I get it, that's important, and the hustle and the grind. And I get that you got to get to work and do some things. But I also see it over and over, especially in the business world and the high professional women that I talk to, is they're doing all the things, but inside they're slowly crumbling. Wow. And they're looking for actions that'll get them results. And then they get the results and they're still broken in their heart. And their heart's sick, right? And so my message is, let's heal the heart and the rest will follow. Let's break and make this stuff stop with you so your generations that follow don't carry it. Because when you do this healing work, the result is infinite impact, infinite, and not just in your bank account, but in your lineage that follows you and every person that you touch moving forward. And it's this work on your heart that will change everything.
Yeah. And I think that's why your message is working so well with so many people. I see with your son, with your daughter, they're becoming little miniature versions of you. I had a good chance to talk with your son the other day and just loving his spirit. I love your dog, the one who jumps in the water. Tell us about the water dog, the one that just jumps in the swimming pool. That's so funny.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the dogs because I only rescue animals, and my water dog is a pit bull, and I have two pit bulls, and they're both rescues, and I look at them and they're very metaphorically like me. They're misunderstood, mistreated sometimes, And all they needed was the right environment to be able to thrive. And you see the joy in that boy's heart every time he hops in the pool and it's like, Mom, look at me. You know, and I rescued a black cat that, you know, those have a stigma with them. I rescued a horse, which people would look at a horse and think that they got their stuff under control. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're so symbolic. Rescue animals to me are so just, it's about who I am. I needed a good rescuing by some great people. And you're one of the people in my life that I feel like has got my back all the time. I'm so grateful.
Well, I think it's a tribe of us that we truly care about people. Tell us how people can work with you one-on-one or webinars or come and see you speak, your book. Tell us how we can engage with you.
There's so much. Instagram is where you see the day-to-day and the dog jumping in the pool. So if that's your thing, if you love dogs, then follow me on Instagram, Tracy_O'Malley. I'm always real talk. There's no BS, no fluff at all. Usually I'm a hot mess. I don't look this nice usually. I'm doing webinars coming up, membership, but the goal of everything that I do is this really immersion with people, the discipleship, the taking one person and seeing the ripple effect of that.
Yes.
So I do it in a small group setting or, you know, even more in-depth one-on-one, which what I've seen come as a result of that is incredible. And anybody that works with me, this is probably my favorite part, Tim. I know when I told you about this, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so important. I have something called the recovery room. So
Yes.
once you've kind of gotten through the wreckage and that, you know, just like a storm that hits, it's usually the surge or the tsunami that will take you out. And so transitioning people into like this recovery room really lets them use the tools that I've helped them get and use them in real time, real life when things come up, because new levels, new devils, right? And
Yes.
so I love working in the trenches very closely with people.
I love it all. I want to challenge everybody watching today to work with Tracy. I think if I want to be honest, I think you take them even deeper than me, because I've been wounded. I've got pain. I've had people pass in my life. I've been through divorce and that. But your type of pain is very, very intense, and you're not afraid to go there. I think I'm still learning to go there. You go there. And so if you have been through things in your life, I want you to get a hold of Tracy and she will help your life. We plan on doing some things together. So last question for today, and let's end in a light note, okay? Tell me a moment in your adult life where you said, man, Tracy, I'm kind of proud of you right now. I don't know if it's you're with your kids. I don't know if you're on stage. I don't know if somebody reading your book. The time in your adult life now, you said, I'm kind of proud of you.
Such an easy answer for me. You know, I've done a lot of really cool stuff and had people come up to me crying and say I've changed their life, and all that's really great. And I don't discount it. It means a lot. However, my biggest fear of my entire life was messing up my kids. Like, wow. If you ask me what I was most afraid of, it was that. Yeah. And to see like me turn that bus around and see like the impact that those two beautiful kids, so different, will make on the world, and to know that I stopped it with me. Like I was destined to continue that cycle, and to know that it stopped with me and my grandkids and my great grandkids, like hell yeah, that hands down is the best thing I've ever done in my life. And to model that for them, it doesn't mean that pain doesn't happen and our life's perfect, but we can communicate, we can educate, we can love, we can have compassion, and we can forgive, and we can move forward and bless the heck out of anybody we touch with our story. So like that is the easiest question in the world, like to have a 21 and a 22-year-old in this world that are grateful, kind, giving, loving, and hard workers. Like seriously.
That is my favorite answer to that question ever, because you can't put a price on that. You cannot put a price on that. Tracy, God shines through you, and this is your time. the world's in trouble and you have answers. And you're not just America-wide, you're worldwide. So proud of you as a true friend of yours. And so we are watching World Shakers with my good friend Tracy O'Malley. And life is good, isn't it?
I love you so much. I'm so grateful that you're in this life with me. Thank you.
We're in this together.